need to be carried out and applied, so that I can then tell you what are the evidences detected during the different exercises. This essay has been done in 2016, 2017, and this last year in 2019. So I wanted to start by saying that the legal framework we are in is the LOE that defines the essay laboratories and the quality for construction. In Article 14 of this law, 38, 1999, November 5th, in paragraph 2, defines laboratories where it says that they need to provide technical assistance and provide results of their activity. And they also need to justify that they have a management system implemented for quality that defines procedures and essay methods or inspections that allow for their activity to be carried out. Then there is the Royal Decree 410/2010 that develops its requirements. In this Royal Decree, in Annex 2, it establishes that we have to have a document called Responsible Declaration. We need to have a quality management system according to standard UNE ISO 17025, and then we have to fulfill certain safety conditions in the laboratories. For the quality of construction, the Council for Sustainability and Innovation and Quality of Construction created SACE, which is an administrative subcommission for the quality of construction that is approved in 20th November 2013, together with the Interlaboratory Essays Plan. This is the plan that is carried out in Spain on a yearly basis since 2014, and we have been doing it for 6 years, and now in 2020 we are carrying out more essays. These essays that are proposed are for materials as well as construction products and even services tests. The basic objectives of the EILA plan are to evaluate the competency of the laboratories that carry out the tests, improving the knowledge with regards to the procedure and the precision of the different essay procedures, to promote the quality of the services that are provided, and to provide to each laboratory one of the tools for the follow-up of the validity of the results, which is making sure that there is quality in those essays according to paragraphs 421 and 59 of the ISO 17025 from 2017. So with these procedures for the control of quality, what we want to prove is that these laboratories are capable of doing a certain test, in this case with regards to slippery resistance, with the external quality that makes sure that the validity of its procedure and its internal quality control is sufficiently capable, and that there is no bias in the results. Well, according to the standards and the rules, we follow this ISO EEC 17043 from 2010 and the ISO 433 from, I'm sorry, I couldn't read that date. So we are using also the documents created by INAC for these essays, which are the NT03 for intercomparisons, and then the guide INAC 14 for comparisons between laboratories. Obviously, when we receive the results, we try from statistical point, we have to consider from statistical point of view these results, and we have to take into account all the groups of values that they give us. According to UNE 82009 from 1992, we need to have veracity and precision, and according to the ISO 17043 from 2014. So this is how the EILA plan started. We had 461 laboratories that were declared and that were registered in our construction code. We have all the labs from Spain except for Ceuta and Melilla. We do material essays, construction materials, concrete and services products that the laboratories will offer us and the things that they want us to do the next year. The territorial organization is nationwide, and as we were saying, thanks to public administrations, we have coordinators, both regional and state coordinators, with EILA coordinators as well, and the coordination and management is done centrally from the Torroja Institute. As you can see here, the participation has been growing, because participation is not mandatory in all cases, it's just voluntary. And we see here in the different regions in the left-hand side column, and the years that the EILA plan has been present. In 2014, we started 157, and last year we already had 180 labs participating. So now if we talk about the essay for the resistance to slipperiness in wet floors, we see what what this SAE has been in Spain in 2016. The regulation that we had in Spain that was enforced was the UNENV 12,633 for wet surfaces. And when we developed it, 73 labs participated, and we sent 4 tiles to test their halves. And in 2017, we maintained this standard, and we collaborated with the SIC and with the Torroja Institute in research work for the new standard that was being developed, where 72 labs participated, and we also tried 3 tiles. These were tiles that had not been treated, where we tried for them not to be treated, what we were mentioning previously, so we didn't want them to have any treatment on top of the tile. And then in 2019, well, we had approved the UNE 41,901 and the 41,902 EX for wet and dry surfaces. In this case, 68 labs participated for the wet essays and 56 in dry surfaces. In 2019, this exercise was not being done in the lab. It was going to be an on-site test, and we were sending them a big format piece with the same characteristics that we were mentioning previously, so with no treatment on their surface. Well, focusing on the EILA 16, which was the first one that we started working on to see how this was being carried out, well, we detected that the pendulum done by the 63 laboratories, only 38 were actually doing it. The conditions established in laboratory plus 20 minus 2 degrees centigrade were not being respected by most of them. So the values were above 22 degrees centigrade in many of the labs. It's also true that we also have to take into account the meteorological conditions here in Spain, but there was no justification for these measures not to be respected. For the contrast and the analysis to be valid, we need to do it in double. And the results that they gave us were not doubled, only 28.8% were doing it twice. Now, the statistical results done by these 38 labs can be seen here. The deviation coefficient is quite, the variation coefficient is quite high, 27%. So what were the evidence? They were not verifying the pendulum every time they were moving. They didn't use the pink laminate. They didn't change the laminate for each verification. So in the end, there was a clear dispersion. As you can see here, there was quite a big dispersion. So this is a Z-score evaluation, because we also do an analysis, a statistical analysis of the results. Now, in the EILA 17, we worked on the protocol of the essay, where we were giving them some conditions about what were the steps to be taken. We were kind of helping them complete the standards in force. In this case, the verification of the pendulum by 73 laboratories that participated in this exercise was correct by 63% of them. The degrees were respected, and for the statistical analysis and contrast, they also had to result in 86.10% of the cases. We also asked for the calibration of the equipment, and 48 laboratories would give us that information. At the same time, during the EILA 17, we also did dry research work, but we saw that they did not read the protocols because they still made execution mistakes. And they also they actually made mistakes because we helped them an IRHD element 96 for the dry test, and they used it for the wet one. And they didn't read the protocols, and that could be seen because the order of the essays was first dry, then wet, and they hadn't followed that order. So we decided not to use those that had done the verification and followed the right order. And out of 67 laboratories, we see that the variation coefficient does improve, but we still detect mistakes. So we have reduced the mistakes, but we cannot really reach what we want to achieve. So now they understand the pendulum verification. Now 91.81% of the members are doing it now. Am I done? 10 minutes already? Oof. Okay. Okay, then we'll go quickly at it. In EILA 19, which is last year's exercise, they did verify the pendulum. Only 8 laboratories didn't do it. The weather conditions of the laboratories were respected by everyone. Now the results presented twice are done by most of them, and the service is done within buildings that allow for us to control the ambient conditions. Here we see that we have different floorings, we have different treading in wet and dry floor. They sent the 2 tiles. Here we can see one of them, big format, so that we could have a contrast, a national contrast at the level of all the laboratories. All of them do 4 points at 0 and 180 degrees. Obviously, the results are better still, and the variation coefficient is still going down. The improvements of the results are obvious. They're using pink laminates. They're using a new one for each verification. The verification is being done, and in some cases, just like in the last essay, they did hold the pendulum so that it wouldn't move, and in order to continue the essay, they would hold it while transporting it. And here we have all the tables of the possibility of repeating the exercise, and here we see that 51% of the cases can be reproduced, but EILA 19, we had values without having introduced the statistical analysis of 16%. Thank you very much.